Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and start picking up some of yesterday's mess. We were out here in the space pod doing some painting in order to pass all of this infinite time. Don't like having keys in my pocket. Bye, keys. Goodbye. Good riddance to you, confining objects. To those objects which confine, I would like to entertain the following treatise. While it is true that sometimes lock and key can be there to protect you, the weight of items needed to be procured in order to lock and key your life becomes something they themselves must be endured. Things which we use to protect us become weights upon us. Not really so profound, and yet liberties taken in my contract. When it came to my time here as the last person on Earth, meaning that machine that saves everybody who made it away, and one of those things was that I should have a rather large glass banquet filled with the best of things that help a fella get through the day. So I've had some time to experiment. And I have some reporting to do on the topic. Perhaps the best way to talk about it is to read you a children's book written in 2074 entitled Mr. Sober Goes Bye-Bye. Mr. Sober once was sober. Thinking it so fine. Many things came to him, including clarity with time. But one day Mr. Sober found something else to be true. What? All he did to get rid of found its way back to you. But that doesn't make any sense. No, it was not what he took. But what he took had a new name. The thing he thought he'd blocked became his nemesis, just the same. So Mr. Sober decided. Perhaps he needed to let go. Let himself rid of all which bound him, and see what that did. So Mr. Sober got unsober for a particular while. He lost himself in all the ways, and then once again found himself mired. This time, it was all the things upon which he excelled in excess, which had weighted him with their reoccurrence, for they too would not be left. So it was that Mr. Sober found by being unsober, that he found himself in the same place he was by being Mr. Sober. And Mr. Sober had blockaded and blocked him into the same cycle that Mr. Unsober had blocked himself into. He was caught in a game between right and wrong, as if I had the perspective of judgment to see the truth when all is gone. But I do not have said judgment, Mr. Sober Unsober said. So perhaps I shall live in the middle, believing somewhere in between is where it is. So Mr. Sober Unsober grew into a tall man, and from his great heights he could finally see the path he'd chosen was the best one, for it maintained all the best of what he could see. For each thing has its virtue, and each thing has its flaw. So in tasting all of it, might we learn to go? In that kind, we might find something coming from within the inside that is neither right nor wrong which path to take. Instead, a wire for our decisions to make. Feeling, a pulse, and electricity bound in the body and yearning to be free. And when let loose upon the soul, the body follows through. And so it was that he became just what he was meant to. The end. Lovely children's story, written in 2074 by Seahorse Tiger. Hi. And dismissed with much controversy. But I'd be honest about sales. Because it suggested people were wrong. The people over here might be wrong, and the people over here might be wrong a little bit. Therefore, everybody thought he was calling them maybe a little bit wrong, so he was universally condemned, and the book was put aside. And as humanity tumbled over the edge, a little girl found the pages inside. And she understood, from the life she knew, what it was to be forgotten or considered not full. So she took great comfort in the path the story laid, until she became her own live wire and returned the story from the grave. That's an interesting loop circle that all the yings and yangs might be going through. All the lefts and rights and males and females and pushers and pullers and takers and makers and watchers and beers and seers and protectors and glorifiers. Perhaps all can have their due, as long as all recognize that so too the flaw resides in you. Thus, people became their best once she refound the book and brought that to the world. There was no structures that had to be destroyed, no people to be confronted, no groups to be put down. For all could equally embrace and enjoy the truth that they had found. It was within them all, and once they saw, they needed no more judgment of others. Instead, they all That is the tale that I wanted to tell on this day. Nothing at all. At approximately nothing at all time, I shall mark that nothing at all was said or happened. And thereby liberate myself from the endeavor. Listen, how to still take action, believe, want, and then snip. The moment it goes, the tie that would have you demanding something in return. The tie that you keep to everything you gave, that it should give back to you. That frightened structure dissipated. The giving is fluid. The giving is free. Well, does it come back around? Because the world's better, am I better? How do I make sure I take advantage of this? You don't. It's enough to give what you've got. Well, what happens to me? What if it doesn't go well for me in this particular place or environment? What if my giving's not enough? Enough for what? There's nothing that needs to be enough. Once that lesson was learned, humanity in the late 2090s started to get like this. Liking it very much, loving being alive. Oh, look at that, we're all one. And what that means is not some sort of one mind, it means one vibration. And it doesn't mean I have to do yours or be yours or that you can't hear mine. It's that we can all vibrate fully, and then in the syncopation, rhythm, and harmony of it, start creating songs beyond what we alone could say, and then loving and living within those grand symphonic vibrations. That's real. That possibility. Not achieved. Not yet. But that's a possible vision we could take. Notice I said nothing of the usual, what about economies? What about isms and ideologies? They're fine. They're fine. We don't have to worry about which ones to take down at this thing. That's the whole other thing. Talking about revolution from within. Each of us. Because if you haven't experienced that, you're missing out! Okay.